Hello everyone and welcome back for some more Drag Race gossip, secrets and drama. So I know how much you love my compilation videos and all of the Drag Race gossip, secrets and drama that you can have. So I've put together this little compilation of 6 dramatic queens and deep dives into their dramatic lives and careers. Please make sure you like and comment on the video and I hope you enjoy. And with that, let's get started. Hello everyone and welcome back for some more Drag Race gossip, secrets and drama. Today we're going to be looking at the dramatic life and career of Season 7 winner Violet Chachki. We'll be talking about her time on Drag Race, the rumours about her stealing Sharon Needles' crown, as well as the fashion photo review scandal. All that and more coming up in today's video, so let's get started. Please make sure you hit subscribe and ring the bell to be notified for my future videos. So, Violet Chachki first started doing drag at age 19 in her hometown state of Georgia. And because she was underage at the time, she had to use a fake ID to get into bars and clubs. Violet quickly made a name for herself in the drag scene, and she even won Miss New Faces at Friends on Ponce, which is a bar in Atlanta. And something you may find interesting is that one of Violet's drag mothers is Season 8 contestant Dax! In a video, Violet explained that she was drawn to Dax because she was the only one doing something different in terms of her drag style. Violet also said that her other drag mother is Genre Monster, who made quite a few of Violet's outfits for Drag Race, including her tartan reveal which was featured in the episode 1 fashion show. Violet's career continued to grow and she gained a lot of exposure when she became a regular at Jungle, which is a bar in Atlanta, and she got to perform with lots of other high-profile performers such as Alaska, Lady Bunny and Amanda Lepore. Violet also previously had a career in the adult entertainment industry where she appeared in several adult films under the name Frankie Malone. Violet also had a bit of controversy when she was photographed for the Legendary Children project in 2013, and several of the photos of her had to be censored because her genitals were shown. In 2015, Violet was announced as one of the contestants for Season 7 of Drag Race. She had previously applied for Season 6 but was ultimately not chosen. There is also a rumour which was started by Trixie that Violet was actually an alternate for Season 7 and was cast later than everyone else. And Violet even addressed this rumour during an interview with Joseph Shepherd. Violet said she had no idea where this rumour had come from, but she explained that after the incident with Sharon Needles' crown, which I'll talk about later in the video, the producers of Drag Race asked if Violet was going to audition for Season 6, so Violet submitted a tape. However, Violet didn't actually get on Season 6 and was asked again by the production team if she was going to audition for Season 7, which Violet did and she got on. Violet said that as far as she knew, she was always going to be on Season 7. However, she said that Trixie is tighter with some of the people who work at World of Wonder, so maybe Trixie knows something that Violet doesn't. And during the interview, Violet actually FaceTimed Trixie to ask her about the rumour. Trixie said she thought the rumour was common knowledge and she had heard this rumour from someone at World of Wonder, but it was never confirmed if this rumour was true or not. Anyway, while on Season 7, Violet showed us that she had a strong interest in fashion and quickly gained a reputation for serving great looks. She also gained a reputation among the other queens for being quite shady, and she didn't seem very well liked by many of the queens and was often picked last for group challenges. And she even won the award for Shadiest Queen during the Episode 5 Despy Awards Challenge. And although Violet was initially disliked by many of her fellow contestants, Violet was shown to have changed her attitude in the later part of the season. In fact, during the Episode 8 Conjoined Twins Makeover Challenge, where the eliminated queens came back, Mrs. Kasha Davis commented on how much Violet had changed. Violet ultimately ended up winning the crown for Season 7 and embarked on a career in drag, burlesque and fashion. And Violet's reputation as a fashion queen was confirmed during the Season 8 finale. Violet came back to hand over the crown to the next winner, and her outfit received a huge reaction from the audience, and she has gone down in Drag Race history as being one of the best outfits that has ever been featured on the show. But after winning the show, people started paying a lot more attention to Violet, and it was perhaps because of that that a lot of crazy stories about her past started to be talked about more than ever before. As I mentioned earlier, one of the things that Violet is best known for is the rumour that she had stolen Sharon Needles' crown. It was first mentioned during season 7 by Trixie during the reading challenge.
Violet, I don't believe the rumors. I don't believe you took Sharon Needles' crown. I don't believe you're taking this one either.
Although at the time this reference may have gone over some people's heads because this was not very common knowledge at the time. So I'm going to give a bit of backstory about this crown stealing incident. It all started back in around 2012 after the airing of season 4. Sharon Needles' crown was stolen, and a photo of a Violet Chachki wearing the crown while naked surfaced online, so everyone assumed that Violet was responsible. However, at the time, Violet wasn't really that well known, and she never really talked about it on Drag Race, so many fans didn't start talking about the crown stealing incident until after Violet had won season 7. But at the time, the crown stealing incident caused quite a stir in the drag community. And in 2013, the Logo channel, in conjunction with Absolute Vodka, posted a video called Whodunit, which is a play on the whodunit style of detective stories. The video is a parody of traditional detective movies and featured Michelle Visage as the detective who is hired by Sharon Needles to find out who stole her crown. The video also featured fellow season 4 queens Latrice Royale, Fifi O'Hara and Chad Michaels. Sharon Needles never really publicly spoke about the crown stealing incident until an interview with Hey Queen in 2019. In the interview, Sharon said that she never got a straight answer about whether Violet did steal it, but she said that Violet was, quote, definitely involved. Sharon talked about the nude photo of Violet wearing the crown and said that some, quote, punks from Atlanta got in touch with her and said that they had stolen her crown. They apparently said that if Sharon didn't ask any questions, they would return it to her. Sharon said that she did get the crown back, but it was broken. But she decided to honour their agreement and didn't ask any other questions, which is why Sharon doesn't really know exactly what happened. And Violet never really publicly spoke about the crown stealing incident either until recently on her podcast No Gorge with Got Mick. Violet explained what happened and said that she was at a pageant in Atlanta that Sharon Needles was judging in November 2012. Violet explained that she was backstage and she had lots of friends with her because security was very laxed back then. Apparently, after the pageant, Violet and her friends went to another bar, and one of Violet's friends said they had a surprise for her.
A bunch of my friends, and they were like, we got you something. And they popped the trunk of their Mercedes, and it's literally Sharon's crown, like, sparkling at me in, like, a black Mercedes backseat.
And from the way Violet described the story, it's unclear how much time then passed, but Violet said that they were at a bar for a viewing party for season 5, which must have been sometime in early 2013. Apparently, during the commercial break, there was an advert for the Whodunit about who stole Violet's crown, and Violet and her friends were all gagged because they didn't expect the news to go so big. Violet said she eventually decided to pose naked with Sharon's crown, and she set it as her Facebook profile picture, and then the story was picked up by several news agencies. And Violet finished the story by implying as though this incident was one of the reasons why she was asked to be on Drag Race. Anyway, this incident didn't really seem to damage Violet's career, and after winning Drag Race, Violet went on to have a successful career not only in drag but also in fashion. For example, in November 2017, Violet became the first drag queen to be featured in a major lingerie ad campaign for the brand Betty Page Lingerie. However, after the crown stealing incident, Violet has also been involved in several other controversies since her time on Drag Race. For example, in 2017, Violet posted a video on social media saying that she and another person had been physically dragged out of a nightclub in Paris called Le Depot because they were, quote, feminine. In the video, Violet can be heard shouting at the security guards, saying that she wants her jacket from the coat check inside, and she calls the staff, quote, disgusting and trash.
We were just physically dragged out of Le Dupont in Paris, France, for being feminine. I need my jacket. I am leaving. This is disgusting. But I am not how dare you? I am not disgusting. I am not trash.
Violet also wrote a post on social media saying that she wasn't in drag at the time, but she was wearing makeup. She explained that she went downstairs to the dark room in the club, which is used for hookups, but she and another customer were dragged out of the club because they were feminine looking. Shortly after this incident, the club posted a press release on Facebook where they claimed that Violet was kicked out of the club because she had been posting videos of the cruising sex area of the club, which is against the rules. The press release also says that Violet was not kicked out because she was feminine looking or wearing makeup, but because she had been told several times not to take videos of the cruising area, but continued to do so, and she was also apparently inappropriate to staff. However, several other people came forward and supported Violet's version of the events, saying that the club had previously discriminated against non-cis presenting customers. This whole situation caused quite a lot of drama at the time, but it's unclear whose side of the story is true and what the real story is. But needless to say that this drama contributed to Violet's fame, as a lot of people were talking about her. And one of the more recent controversies with Violet that I'm sure many of you have heard about was involving Fashion Photo Review. For anyone who is unaware, Fashion Photo Review is a recap show for Drag Race where the hosts give their opinions about the runway looks from Drag Race using the terms toot and boot, and it was originally started by Raja and Raven. Violet had previously appeared with Katya on Fashion Photo Review, as well as The Pit Stop, where her funny and critical comments about people's outfits were well received by the audience.
I don't like it. Like, Mama, if it's not a Mugler suit, then just don't bother.
No.
So it's assumed that this was the reason why Violet was asked to take over as host of Fashion Photo Review during All Stars 7 along with Gottmik. However, when All Stars 7 was airing and the episodes of Fashion Photo Review started coming out, Violet and Gottmik started receiving backlash from the fans because they booted some of Raja's looks, as well as some other critical comments they made about other queens' outfits. Many fans criticised Violet and Gottmik for booting some of Raja's looks because Raja is known as a fashion icon, and many fans called Violet's taste level into question. The backlash got so bad that most of the episodes of Fashion Photo Review were pulled from YouTube and only made available on Wow Presents Plus. At the beginning of the situation, Violet and Gottmik leaned into the drama and joked about it online. For example, Violet tweeted on the 25th of May saying, "I booted your fave and ... checks notes, I'll be doing it again." And Raja even joked about it during a live show where she thanked Violet and Gottmik and said that those little quote C words would be nothing without me. But Raja has made it clear that she didn't take Violet and Gottmik's comments to heart and she likes both of them. However, the situation got worse, and during a viewing party at Roscoe's, the hosts, Naysha Lopez and Batty Davis, said that Violet had been at Roscoe's the week before and had called the producers of Fashion Photo Review, demanding that they take down the episodes.
She called and she's like, pull them, that's it, pull them, take them down.
While she was here.
Think about it, put yourself in her shoes, you are asked for your opinion, she was honest about it, and then she got a bunch of for it.
Apparently, Violet said it wasn't worth all the hate she was getting, and she even threatened to quit drag.
She literally was here and she was like, I will not, like, I'm to the point where I will quit drag. Like, what the people were saying, the cancel culture, they are just so mean. Drag Race fans are so goddamn mean for no reason.
Violet and Gottmik later talked about the whole situation on their podcast, No Gorge. Violet and Gottmik said that they filmed all the episodes of Fashion Photo Review in 3 days and that it was a lot more work than they had anticipated. Violet went on to say that she gave her opinions about the fashion, which is what the show is about, but she regretted doing the show because of the backlash they had both received. Violet said that she doesn't need to be associated with the Drag Race franchise anymore and said, "You can effing keep it."
The other thing is that I don't necessarily need to be associated with this franchise anymore, honestly. Like, after this experience, I'm like, you guys can keep it.
Violet explained that she and Gottmik received death threats and transphobia as a result of the opinions they gave on Fashion Photo Review and said how ridiculous the situation was. The two of them also said that other Drag Race queens were making videos about the situation, saying that Violet and Gottmik shouldn't be giving their opinions, to which Violet said, "Shut the F up." According to Violet and Gottmik, they were not paid very much for Fashion Photo Review. And Violet implied as though she told the production company that she would give back the money if they took down the episodes, but the production company said no. Violet also made the point that this happens every year, that the queens receive death threats, racism and transphobia from the Drag Race fanbase, and even though World of Wonder has condemned it, it still happens. And Violet even mentioned that Leslie Jones has stopped live tweeting Drag Race because of all the hate she was getting online. Since then, Violet seems to have come out of the situation for the better, and her career has continued to grow. In 2021, she embarked on her own one-woman tour called A Lot More of Me. And in April 2022, Violet and Gottmik announced a tour for their podcast No Gorge. Violet is also, as of 2022, the 6th most followed Drag Race queen on Instagram with over 2 million followers. In terms of what the future holds for Violet, it's unclear whether any of this drama has affected her career or her future plans. However, in an interview with Joseph Shepherd from August 2021, Violet implied as though she had considered retiring from drag because she had accomplished almost everything she wanted to, and she wanted to explore new art forms. Violet also joked that she doesn't want to be breaking my hip for a dollar bill when I'm pushing 50. So we'll have to wait and see how Violet's drag career will develop, but it shows no sign of slowing down at the moment, despite all the drama and controversies that she's been involved in. So, there you go, there was a quick summary about the dramatic life and career of Violet Chachki.
Go! Please, yes. Please, I'm sorry to yell. I will not do that.
Go take a break.
Okay.
That episode was awful for you. What the is wrong with you? You're boring and arrogant. I don't know what she's like getting out of this, where she's got this like weird hostility. I have no idea. I don't know where it came from.
Hello everyone and welcome back for some more Drag Race gossip, secrets and drama. Today we're going to be looking at two of the most successful queens to come from the RuPaul's Drag Race franchise, Trixie and Katya. In this video we're going to be looking at how Trixie and Katya first rose to fame, why Trixie and Katya had a public falling out, some of the drama involving Trixie and Katya, and what the future looks like for them. All that and more coming up in today's video, so let's get started. How it all began. Trixie Mattel and Katya Zamolodchikova both competed on season 7 of RuPaul's Drag Race in 2015 and placed 6th and 5th respectively. On the show, Trixie and Katya didn't have much interaction and many people assumed they weren't really that close. However, according to Trixie, the two of them became close after the show. But Trixie once said in an interview with Hello magazine that their friendship originally was, quote, tepid, barely a boil, a simmer that slowly rose to heat, but they then became best friends later on. The two of them then appeared together in a special edition of Fashion Photo Review in 2015, where they tooted and booted the looks that Raja and Raven had worn during Fashion Photo Review. The two of them clearly had great chemistry, and many people in the comments said that they needed to have their own show. This then happened a few months later in March of 2016 when Trixie and Katya appeared in their own show called on Wow Presents Plus and also on YouTube. The show involves Trixie and Katya talking about a variety of different topics while usually sharing funny stories about their lives, and the show became an instant hit, racking up millions of views. Now has been running for 8 seasons and has been nominated for 8 Streamy Awards, winning Unscripted Series in 2020. The show propelled Trixie and Katya to fame, and they even had their own TV spin-off of the show on Viceland in 2018, as well as an at-home version that happened during the 2020 pandemic lockdown. Since then, Trixie and Katya have gone on to tour together, written a book, and started a podcast as well as many other joint ventures. And Trixie and Katya are now two of the most famous queens to come from Drag Race, with over 6 million combined followers on Instagram. However, it has not always been plain sailing for Trixie and Katya, and the two of them had a dramatic fallout as a result of Katya's mental breakdown. Let's talk more about that now. The fallout of Trixie and Katya. By 2017, Trixie and Katya's careers had taken off, largely thanks to their show which had been going for 2 years by that point and had become very popular. However, with this newfound fame came a lot of stress, which put a lot of strain on their relationship and in particular Katya. As we know from Drag Race, Katya had previously been addicted to drugs and alcohol and was in recovery, and she had been very open about her struggles both on the show and off the show. Katya had become very popular with fans, largely because she was so open and genuine and shared her emotions freely, especially during many live streams where she talked about her struggles with addiction and relapsing. But there were growing concerns about Katya's erratic behaviour, and many people suspected that Katya had relapsed. In November 2017, Trixie and Katya started a spin-off of their popular show on Viceland called The Trixie and Katya Show, which premiered in November of 2017. However, partway through the series in January 2018, it was announced that Katya was taking a break from the show because she had relapsed and went into rehab, and Bob the Drag Queen took over as co-host for the rest of the series. There wasn't much public information given about the situation at the time. However, Katya did a live stream on the 16th of January 2018 where she talked in French. And Katya said, quote, "I'm tired, I'm exhausted, my brain doesn't work anymore because of the drugs, because of all the gigs, I need to take vacations like a normal person." Katya also talked more about the situation on Instagram where she said, "I'm not dying, I want to live. I'm a drug addict, but I'm sober today and yesterday and before, but I need to take a vacation because I want to survive like Gloria Gaynor." Later in March of 2018, Katya announced on Twitter that she was back from rehab and was seemingly doing better. Katya then appeared on the podcast Whimsically Volatile later that year, where she talked very frankly about her relapse on meth and had a, quote, complete total psychotic break from reality and couldn't tell what was real or not real. Katya also said that someone close to her filed a restraining order against Katya, and she admitted that she had hit, quote, rock bottom. Katya also said that she had experienced, quote, hallucinations, visions, auditory hallucinations in the form of God. This is what led to her checking herself into a rehab facility, which, quote, rocked her world, and she talked very openly about her road to recovery. And that was all of the information that we had at the time, and Trixie didn't really say that much about it at the time. However, in April of 2019, Trixie Mattel released a documentary called Moving Parts, which followed Trixie's life and career during that time. And it featured a lot of raw and unfiltered backstage moments, including her fallout with Katya. During one part of the documentary, they showed the behind-the-scenes moment during the taping of the Trixie and Katya show on Viceland, where Katya has an uncomfortable breakdown on set and walks off.
I'm having a hard time restraining myself because I don't want to lose touch with reality because I had a psychotic break and it's really stressing me out. I am absolutely about to unwrap it, and that's not funny to me.
There is then a moment where Trixie talks to Katya off camera, but they are still mic'd, and Katya said that she needs to be in rehab.
I just can't talk right now, and it's nothing personal. I don't understand what it is.
I can't tell what's helpful.
I don't know what's helpful. All I know is that I should be in rehab.
Trixie described this as, quote, stressful, and she also insinuated that she felt angry that Katya was negatively affecting a big opportunity for their careers. But Trixie also understood that Katya was going through a tough time and it wasn't her fault because she was struggling with addiction. Trixie had already filmed All Stars 3 at this point, and it had begun airing during this time. And during Trixie's documentary, they showed a moment where Trixie received a nasty text message from Katya, who said that Trixie had humiliated herself during her poor Snatch Game performance on All Stars 3.
Katya, you just sent me a message that said, "You're about to kill your whole career. That episode was awful for you. What the f*** is wrong with you? You're boring and arrogant. The only two sins on television." You should have said that.
Katya was clearly struggling with addiction at the time, and it's assumed that her mental state was not in the best place when she wrote those messages. But Trixie and Katya appeared to have a falling out because of it, and there was a period of time where the two of them did not speak. However, they later seemed to reconcile, and Katya was featured at the end of Trixie's documentary, and the two of them seemed to be on good terms. Trixie later said that this was a very hard period of her life and that Katya had given her permission for the on-set breakdown to be shown in the documentary. On the podcast Shut Up Evan, Katya admitted that she and Trixie didn't speak for quite a while, but Katya said that Trixie, quote, taught me the real power and value of forgiveness, and Trixie, quote, just kind of waited it out and forgave me. Trixie and Katya then resumed filming their series of as well as their podcast The Bold and the Beautiful, and also many other projects, and the two of them seemed to be as close as ever. So it seems that this fallout was only short-lived. However, Trixie and Katya have had a few other dramas throughout their career, which we'll look at now. The dramas of Trixie and Katya. For the most part, Trixie and Katya are relatively drama-free and don't tend to get much criticism from fans, and they seem to be pretty universally liked by most other queens. However, over the years there have been a few small dramas that Trixie and Katya have been involved in. For example, in July 2018, a clip of Trixie from the Haters Roast resurfaced, and people accused Trixie of making a racially insensitive joke. For those of you who don't know, the Haters Roast is a comedy roast tour where queens from RuPaul's Drag Race tell roast jokes about each other. And a clip from Trixie's routine went viral after a joke that Trixie made about Latrice Royale.
You like this outfit? I couldn't decide what to wear. It's just like a cotton. Latrice picked it. Oh, is that too far, Denver? What, did you forget to invite your black friends tonight?
Several people accused Trixie of being racist, including Monroe Bergdorf, who is a British model who became the first transgender model to front a campaign for L'Oreal. At the time, Monroe tweeted a quote of someone who had defended Trixie's joke, and Monroe said, "Defending her from what? She's not being attacked, she's being held to account for racism. But in being defiant of that accountability, you're actively upholding what? Racism." And season 10 contestant The Vixen also vaguely tweeted about Trixie's joke, which was seen as a criticism, but The Vixen didn't seem to say any more about it. Trixie later responded to the criticism she was getting and said, "If you think drag queens apologise for jokes at a roast, you watch too much TV." And Latrice Royale herself also commented on the situation and said, "Stop telling me how to feel. I'm cool, and if I did have a problem, I wouldn't air out on social media. I am a hashtag queen, a true queen that is hashtag above the BS, and stop stirring the damn pot." Trixie also got a bit of criticism in 2019 when a video went viral on TikTok of a fan asking Trixie to say happy birthday to their friend Sarah, but Trixie said she had to go.
Say happy birthday to Sarah, please.
Oh no, I just gotta go.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, no problem. Have a nice day.
Yeah, sure.
And some people criticised Trixie for not being humble. However, most people defended Trixie. And on Twitter, the friend who was mentioned in the video, Sarah, even said, "Alright friends, I am Sarah from the video and Trixie don't owe me bleep. Y'all need to chill out." Then in September 2022, a TikTok user accused Trixie of using a clip of one of her videos in an insensitive way. The TikTok user, with the username African X Mormon, had put up a video of themselves on a crucifix, which was a protest against the Utah government who had deported her son. In response to this video, another TikTok user said that this was blasphemy, and the African X Mormon responded saying, "Yes, I am doing blasphemy."
Yes, I am doing blasphemy. Yes.
The TikTok user then alleged that Trixie Mattel used the sound from her video in one of Trixie's comedy videos on TikTok and that it was insensitive. The TikTok user apparently messaged Trixie many times and asked her to take down the video, and there were also apparently multiple other comments that Trixie, quote, ignored on her video, saying that the sound she was using was insensitive. Trixie then seemingly deleted the video, but apparently never apologised for using the sound clip. However, many people said that Trixie probably didn't realise the backstory of that sound clip and it was most likely an innocent mistake. And this is a common issue on TikTok and other social media sites. Katya also got involved herself in a bit of drama with season 11 winner Evie Oddly in 2020 after some comments that Katya had made about Evie's outfit that she wore at DragCon. In Trixie and Katya's book, Trixie and Katya's Guide to Modern Womanhood, Katya said she was, quote, upset and unreasonably angry at Evie's outfit she wore to DragCon, which was a t-shirt dress which had a fake $100 price tag on it, and it said in green letters, quote, really expensive fashion. And Katya said in the book that Evie wasn't carrying herself with the, quote, prestige factor of a winner, and said that Evie needed to, quote, polish it up, and that Evie was, quote, trolling people with that outfit. Evie later responded on Twitter saying she disagreed with Katya and that her outfit was a statement against Drag Race fans who expect the queens to spend a lot of money. And in an interview with Entertainment Tonight, Evie said that it was, quote, messed up that Katya published a book that said, quote, why this one queen of colour is garbage and she doesn't look good. And Evie said that Katya doesn't realise how privileged she is and that queens of colour are treated much worse by the fandom than white queens. And several queens supported Evie, such as Nina West, Brooklyn Heights and Boa. And it appears that Katya later expressed regret over her comments, and during a live stream event to promote their book, Katya said that although she didn't like Evie's outfit, quote, she was making a statement, and I get that, it doesn't matter, but I don't want people to have bad feelings because of that. I don't think she needed to be singled out by name, so I feel bad. But that seemed to be the end of that, and there doesn't seem to be any other major dramas that Trixie and Katya have been involved in since then. The future for Trixie and Katya. Although Trixie and Katya have had a few rough patches during their career, they seem to be doing better than ever. And despite their brief falling out that they had in 2018, the two seem to be stronger than ever and have continued to build their careers. Their hit show has now been running for 8 seasons and is still incredibly popular with fans. The two of them completed a sold-out tour of 80+ cities in 2023, and they are also involved in several other web series such as Netflix's I Like to Watch. Trixie started her own TV show in June of 2022 called Trixie Motel, where she renovated and reopened a motel in Palm Springs. And Katya, as well as several other Drag Race queens and other celebrities, were featured on the show. Trixie and Katya also launched their own Substack newsletter called Gooped, which ran until 2022. Their book also debuted number 2 on the New York Times bestseller list. And their careers show no sign of slowing down, and the two of them have become some of the most famous and prominent drag queens in modern history. And they seem to have left their past dramas behind them. So we'll have to see what the future holds for Trixie and Katya. So there you go, there was an overview of Trixie and Katya's career, their falling out, and some of their past drama. Hello everyone, and welcome back for some more Drag Race gossip, secrets, and drama. Today we're going to be looking at the dramatic life and career of one of Drag Race's most infamous queens, Mimi Imfurst. We'll be talking about Mimi's dramatic appearances on Drag Race, the many feuds that she had with several other queens, as well as some more serious allegations of abuse made against Mimi. All that and more coming up in today's video, so let's get started. The origins of Mimi Imfurst. Mimi was born in Hanson, Massachusetts, and seemed to have a pretty tough time as a child, and at one point she was kicked out of her home. Mimi once said in an interview that she was outed at the age of 16, and other students at her school and even a member of staff at the school had assaulted her. Mimi then got kicked out of her home by her family, presumably because they found out she was gay, and she ended up being homeless. But eventually Mimi managed to get back on her feet thanks to support organisations such as the Gay, Lesbian and Straight Education Network. Mimi was then apparently adopted by a lesbian couple, and she started to do drag at the age of 16. Her first drag name was actually Delilah Demistra, but when she moved to New York, another queen already had the name Delilah, so Mimi changed her name to be Mimi Imfurst because she wanted a funny name because her name is a pun of Mimi I'm First. Mimi made a name for herself in the New York drag scene, and she became somewhat infamous due to her controversial annual Christmas show where she would portray Jesus' mother, Mary. And she even appeared in a 2008 movie called Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist, where Mimi appeared doing this character. But this role caused a lot of controversy, and in 2005, the Catholic Advocacy Coalition named Mimi one of the top 10 anti-Catholic people. And one of Mimi's shows in Times Square was even protested by 600 people. Later in 2010, Mimi was involved in a web series called Queens of Drag NYC, which featured many other famous New York-based drag queens, such as Bianca Del Rio, Lady Bunny, and Peppermint. Mimi was also one of the founding members of the drag girl group XL in 2010. And Mimi even made a guest appearance in a 2010 gay adult movie, which was a parody of the Harry Potter movies, where Mimi played a character called Fag Hagrid. However, it was when Mimi appeared on season 3 of Drag Race in 2011 that her career reached new levels. But her time on Drag Race also brought a lot of controversy. Let's talk more about that now. Mimi's dramatic run on Drag Race. Mimi had auditioned for every season of Drag Race until she was eventually cast on season 3, which was aired in January of 2011. On the show, Mimi represented herself as a campy comedic queen, and she placed high for the first 2 episodes of the show. And in fact, Mimi nearly won the episode 3 Queens in Space acting challenge, but the win ultimately went to Shangela and Alexis Mateo. And this episode is when the infamous fight between Mimi and Shangela happened in Untucked, and the iconic sugar daddy rant.
You'll never be glamour. Boo, just because you got a sugar daddy who pays for everything for you. Oh. I don't have a sugar daddy. I've never had a sugar daddy. If I wanted a sugar daddy, yes, I probably could go out and get one. Baby, everything I've had, I've worked for, and I've gotten myself. I built myself from the ground up. Bitch! Hey, no.
In subsequent interviews, several queens, including Alexis Mateo and Stacey Lane Matthews, have confirmed that the fight between Shangela and Mimi was a lot more physical than it appeared on camera, and a lot of the fight got cut out. It was even alleged that Shangela scratched Mimi's face so badly that Mimi was bleeding, and that's why Mimi later changed her wig when she came back to the main stage to cover up the bleeding. It later transpired that the reason this fight between Mimi and Shangela even happened was because of fellow season 3 contestant Venus Delight, who had been eliminated in episode 1. Venus had heard from a friend that Shangela had a sugar daddy, and Venus told the rest of the cast about it. In a social media post, Venus alleged that production was favouring Shangela, and a lot of the queens were calling it out during filming, using the code phrase, quote, "the jig is up." Venus also mentioned the break in production that happened during season 3, and Venus said she thinks it was because Shangela was, quote, "an asset or silent partner in season 3. For those of you who don't know, it's been confirmed by several contestants that there was a 3-week-long break in filming during season 3, which happened sometime after the 3rd episode. There was never an official reason given, but some people have alleged that it was because of the fight between Shangela and Mimi, because production had never seen anything like it before and didn't know how to deal with it. However, rumours also circulated that RuPaul had suffered a heart attack. But then RuPaul seemed to imply as though that was not true, but RuPaul said that she did have heartburn issues, and that's potentially why production was shut down. But anyway, the season resumed filming a few weeks later, and Mimi was sent home in episode 4 after her poor performance in the fitness challenge, and she fell in the bottom along with India Ferrer. This is what led to one of the most memorable lip sync moments on the show, when Mimi picked India up during the lip sync and India screamed for Mimi to put her down.
I was honestly scared, and all I could do was scream.
Get her off of me!
At the end of the lip sync, RuPaul said the famous line of, quote, "drag is not a contact sport," and Mimi was sent home. India later revealed in an interview with Entertainment Weekly that this incident traumatized her for years because people always asked her about Mimi, and India felt like all of her work was getting overlooked because of it. Fans were then shocked to see that Mimi was later cast on All Stars 1 in 2012 after she came third in the fan voting. Mimi was partnered with Pandora Box, and the two of them were eliminated in the first episode, which was the Opposites Attract Makeover Challenge. However, the most infamous moment of All Stars 1 involved Mimi when everyone confronted her in Untucked. There had been some previous beef between Mimi and Alexis Mateo because Mimi had apparently taken a job at a club after Alexis got let go from the club, and Alexis felt betrayed by Mimi. This then led to the famous line delivered by Raven when she said that she was surprised that Mimi had come third in the fan vote to be on the season.
Well, guess what, Mimi? We did. You, Mimi, I'm first. Mimi, I'm first was number 3 in the voting. I could not believe it. Out of all 50
not attack
bitches,
my fans.
Of the shit that I've seen, you don't have that many. So out of 50...
Mimi then stormed out, and she and her partner Pandora were eliminated later in the episode. And although Mimi's appearances on Drag Race were both relatively short, she gained a lot of fame and notoriety because of the dramas that she'd been involved in on the show. But the real dramas for Mimi actually happened after the show, so let's talk more about that now. Feuds with other queens. Mimi had become somewhat of a controversial figure after her time on Drag Race, but many people still really loved her, and Mimi was actually involved in organising several Drag Race tours and events. And many queens have said that they really respect Mimi's work ethic because she is very committed and hard-working. However, it seems that Mimi has had feuds with several other queens over the years, and this has led to her reputation being somewhat tarnished. Back in 2013, Mimi had a Twitter beef with Season 5 contestant Jade Jolie, who accused Mimi of insulting her during a show. Mimi said that when she has a microphone, she enjoys reading people, and it's never personal, and told Jade to get over it. Mimi also referenced Jade's previous career in adult movies, and Mimi told Jade to, quote, do what you do best and suck a D for a $50 camera from Best Buy. The two of them then traded more insults, and Jade said that Mimi wasn't funny and even called her a poor version of Delta Work. And Mimi shared a screenshot showing that she had more followers than Jade at the time, which is somewhat ironic because nowadays Jade has almost double the number of followers that Mimi has on social media. But Judge Michelle Visage eventually stepped into the argument and said, "Stop it, girls," which has now become a bit of a joke online. Another queen that Mimi has had problems with is Season 4 contestant Willem. Willem has talked several times about her bad experiences with Mimi and how she never wants to work with Mimi again. During one episode of Race Chaser, where Willem and Alaska were reviewing Season 3 of Drag Race, Willem said that she had worked with Mimi before and she had hired Mimi to write some jokes for her. But Willem said that it was a horrible experience and she would never do it again, and many other queens have apparently also had bad experiences with Mimi.
Being too much, like this is why people don't like her, you know, because when the pressure is on, the worst comes out in some people. Well, I just worked with her for a month and it was horrible.
Okay.
So I'm not taking this back, and I don't feel the need to bleep it. And we all experienced the same thing on this tour where we don't want to work with her again.
And in another episode of Race Chaser, Willem revealed that during the haters roast, Mimi didn't like some of the jokes that people were making about her, and Mimi ended up crying and threatening to leave the tour. Willem said she confronted Mimi and the two of them had a heated argument, which led to Willem telling Mimi that she didn't like her.
She was going to leave the tour.
She said she was going to leave the tour if certain people didn't stop making certain jokes. But she cried. Come on, there's no crying in drag. And I'm like, if you have a problem with me, you need to talk to me. And then she's like, well, I think you're condescending. And I said, well, that's not condescending. You're probably just actually sensing that I don't like you.
And there have also been some other allegations against Mimi for bad behaviour. Let's look at that now. Bad behaviour. Because of the various feuds that Mimi has had with other queens over the years, Mimi developed a bit of a bad reputation among many queens, but for the most part her career still seemed to be going well. But there were several incidents that happened where Mimi was called out for bad behaviour by other queens. One of them involved Trixie Mattel during an event in the UK. Back in 2017, there was an event called Drag Tech in Manchester, England, which was sort of like an early iteration of DragCon, where queens had booths and fans could come for a meet and greet. There were several well-known Drag Race queens at the event, including Mimi and also Trixie Mattel. Photos later emerged from the event, and according to a fan online who was at the event, Mimi was reportedly annoyed that Trixie had a big line at her booth, whereas Mimi didn't have a line at her booth. So Mimi seemingly picked up her booth table and her merchandise and moved it over to Trixie's line and was trying to sell her merchandise to people waiting in Trixie's line. Trixie was apparently annoyed about this and told Mimi to move. So Mimi then moved her table to the middle of the convention centre and was trying to sell her merchandise to anyone who walked past. And it's hard to know whether this was meant seriously or whether Mimi was just joking but the joke didn't land. But either way, the incident seemingly left a bad taste in some people's mouths. Mimi also once caught some criticism from legendary drag queen Jackie Beat, who accused Mimi of stealing jokes. Mimi had long established herself as a successful comedy queen, and although she had a slightly negative reputation, people still respected her comedic abilities. And one famous example was at the roast of Michelle Visage, which took place on a cruise event in 2014 organised by Elle and Chuck.Travel. And Mimi was by far the best roaster of the night, and this changed many people's perception of Mimi as a comedian.
Bianca Del Rio's so fucking old that her Rolodex of hate used to be a stone tablet. She's so fucking old that the key on Benjamin Franklin's kite unlocked her apartment. I want to thank Bianca Del Rio for making this cruise happen. Her entire family is cleaning your f***ing cabins.
However, over the years, people have accused Mimi of stealing other people's jokes. And this included Jackie Beat, who is a famous drag queen known for her comedy. In March 2019, Jackie tweeted saying, "Stealing another queen's jokes is bad enough, but stealing one of her most iconic and infamous jokes is just pathetic. But what should I expect from someone who used to come to my shows and literally take notes? Hashtag you're last." And although Jackie didn't mention Mimi's name, it's assumed Jackie was referring to Mimi because of the hashtag you're last, which is a play on words of Mimi I'm first. And season 6 winner Bianca Del Rio replied to Jackie's tweet with the eyes emoji, and Jackie said that it was her Betty White joke that she was referring to, and Mimi had seemingly stolen this joke. Mimi also caught some criticism from fans back in 2018 when she made a critical comment about Jinx Monsoon's new album. Jinx had released her second album called The Ginger Snapped in January of 2018, and the music was inspired by the 90s/2000s. But Mimi posted on Facebook criticising Jinx's album and said, "No offence, but that's exactly the album I released a year ago. There's nothing whole or new about this. Do I even exist?" And many fans called out Mimi and said that she was just bitter because Jinx's album was more successful than Mimi's. And although these feuds and dramas with other drag queens had affected Mimi's reputation, the biggest controversy of Mimi Unfirst was yet to come. And this seemed to damage Mimi's career for good. Let's talk about that now. Allegations of abuse. There had been rumours circulating for years that Mimi had a habit of making unwanted sexual advances towards other gay men. And people had even made jokes about this during the Haters Roast, which is the reason why Mimi threatened to quit the tour, which I mentioned earlier. And these rumours had been going on for quite some time, but Mimi had seemingly never addressed the situation. But Mimi later admitted that the allegations were true after several people came forward and spoke out against Mimi. The allegations had first surfaced back in October 2017 when a Philadelphia-based burlesque performer named Turnpike had posted a friends-only post on Facebook where they asked other people to talk about the, quote, Harvey Weinstein of your town or neighbourhood. This was a reference to disgraced film producer Harvey Weinstein, who was convicted of multiple counts of sexual assault and was later sentenced to 16 years in prison. In the post, Turnpike asked people to share their stories about any, quote, predators that operate in the gay neighbourhood. Two other performers named Kyle and Ethan then apparently responded to Turnpike's post, and they subsequently spoke to Philadelphia Magazine. In a lengthy article in Philadelphia Magazine, Kyle and Ethan accused Mimi Imfurst of making, quote, unwanted and repeated sexual advances towards them over instant messaging. Kyle and Ethan said that they had been reluctant to come forward before now because they were worried about being, quote, blacklisted from the community. But they decided to come forward to try and help stop this from happening to other people and also to, quote, dispel stereotypes of sexual harassment in the LGBTQ community. Kyle and Ethan had both competed in Drag Wars, which is a local drag competition show similar to Drag Race, and Mimi was one of the creators and head judges of the show. Kyle, whose drag persona is Lorna Doom, said that, quote, at first it seemed like he, referring to Mimi, was just harmlessly flirting with me, and then he hinted at having secrets that people would judge him for. Kyle said that Mimi had started messaging him back in September of 2015, and Mimi had said she wanted to explore some, quote, kink stuff, and Kyle was the only person Mimi was opening up to about it. Kyle said he humoured Mimi at first because she was such a famous drag queen and he felt obliged to, but later Kyle said he felt uncomfortable with what Mimi was saying to him. Kyle alleged that Mimi then repeatedly used her position of power as a judge on the competition show that Kyle was competing on, and Kyle said that Mimi kept propositioning him after he was eliminated. And Kyle felt like he was, quote, in a trap because he wanted the exposure of being on the drag competition show, but he knew that if he revealed what Mimi had been saying to him, it may affect his career. Another Drag Wars performer named Ethan, whose drag persona is Lilith Del Rey, also said that Mimi had done the same thing to him and repeatedly messaged Ethan online even though Ethan felt uncomfortable with it. And eventually Mimi sexually propositioned Ethan, and the two of them did engage in some cyber-sexual conversations, but Ethan said he did it because he thought Mimi would eventually leave him alone. Ethan then apparently had a brief relationship with someone else who worked at Drag Wars, and Ethan told this person what Mimi had been saying to him online, and Mimi found out about it and was really angry. Ethan alleged that Mimi then, quote, retaliated against him, and Ethan was later eliminated from the competition in a, quote, mean-spirited way. This apparently crushed Ethan's confidence, and Ethan also implied as though Mimi tried to sabotage his drag career and get his bookings cancelled. And after Turnpike's original Facebook post received a lot of attention, Mimi must have heard that Kyle and Ethan had spoken out against her. Mimi apparently sent an apology message to Ethan saying, "You made it clear to me that you didn't want to talk about such things and I've backed off. I'm not perfect and I'm sorry if I made you uncomfortable." And although Ethan didn't reply, Mimi sent him several more messages which Ethan also did not reply to. After these allegations against Mimi eventually came out, Philadelphia Magazine reached out to Mimi for comment. Mimi admitted to the allegations and apologised in a lengthy statement that said, "It has come to my attention that my sexual conversations via online messaging were uncomfortable for multiple people that I was engaging with. With two of those people, I have had ongoing late-night sexual conversations that involved in-depth and often exaggerated cyber roleplay that, although was welcomed by some, has made others feel uncomfortable and used. For that, I am incredibly sorry. I thought our conversation, which included sexual and non-sexual discussions, was consensual. I realise now that my intent to engage in a playful and welcomed conversation that I initiated did not have the impact on them that I thought it did." And this situation seemingly permanently damaged Mimi's career, and she doesn't seem to have recovered from it since. What is Mimi doing now? After the scandal involving the unwanted sexual advances, Mimi's career has taken a big hit and she doesn't seem to be doing much drag-related work anymore. After the situation happened, Mimi posted several alarming posts on her social media where she said that her mental health had been affected and she implied as though she may take her own life. But it appears that many people then reached out to Mimi to ask if she was okay, and Mimi posted saying, "Thank you to everyone who has reached out. I am sorry I haven't yet responded to everyone. I have people around me right now, please give me a minute." Mimi has made several other posts since then, which said that Mimi is still struggling, and Mimi reportedly sold some of her drag clothing to make money. Mimi hasn't really been active on her social media recently, and her last post on Instagram was in March of 2023, and her Twitter hasn't been active since May 2022. So it's not exactly clear whether Mimi has quit drag or what she is doing to support herself. I also couldn't find any news articles or social media posts to confirm what she has been up to recently. So it seems that perhaps all of the controversies Mimi has been involved in have permanently affected her career, and only time will tell if Mimi will stage a comeback at some point. And this is a good time to remind people that it's never okay to send hate to someone online, so please enjoy this video passively and don't send hate to anyone involved, and be mindful of what you post online, and that includes in the comments on this video. So there you go, there was a video about the dramatic life and career of Mimi Imfurst. Hello everyone and welcome back for some more Drag Race gossip, secrets, drama and news. The topic of today's video is the controversy surrounding Sharon Needles, who is the winner of Season 4 of Drag Race. I've mentioned this topic in some of my previous videos, and it's also been a much talked about topic online. Many people have commented asking what the controversy about Sharon Needles is, so I thought I would make a video about it. Please note that all the information in this video is based on news articles, social media and interviews, but I cannot guarantee the validity of everything in this video. I'm simply reporting information from other sources. Please make sure you hit subscribe and ring the bell to be notified for my future videos. So there are several controversies surrounding Sharon Needles, and I'll go into each of them separately. They all happened at different times, but the allegations seem to go as far back as 2017 and maybe even earlier. Accusations of racist language. So one of the things that Sharon has been accused of by multiple people is the use of racist language. Sharon has been widely criticised for her use of the N-word and also using heavy racial imagery in her shows. In September 2021, fellow Season 4 contestant Dida Ritz accused Sharon of racism. On the podcast called Drag Her, Dida said, quote, "Sharon Needles walking around calling everyone the N-word." Dida also said no one in production reprimanding her, and said the production were just, quote, laughing it off. Dida also said, quote, "Everyone knows it, it's not a secret, I'm just the only one willing to talk about it." Dida also went on to say that Sharon used the N-word not only to Dida, but also Latrice Royale, Milan, and LaShawn Beyond. And apparently the only person that would stand up for them was Willem, who one time called Sharon out in front of people for using the N-word. Bob the Drag Queen and Monet X Change have also talked about the subject on their podcast. Bob said that Sharon uses the N-word all the time, and Monet even said that Sharon started screaming the N-word as they were walking down the street in New York one time. Bob and Monet have talked about the subject several times on their podcast and have shared lots of stories about Sharon. Bob even said that Jeremy Carey, formerly known as Fifi O'Hara, was made out to be the villain of Season 4, but Bob said that, quote, "Sharon is the real villain." Sharon has also allegedly signed fan autographs and used the N-word, which you can see here, but I've censored out the actual N-word for obvious reasons. Inappropriate behaviour. Sharon has also made several other inappropriate comments as well. For example, in 2018, Sharon posted a meme on social media that was a joke about the 9/11 attacks, and she was widely criticised for this, and she later deleted the post. And fellow Season 4 contestant Willem commented on the post and said, quote, "You obviously don't know anyone who died that day. I do. You know I love you, but you got better thoughts in your head, mouth and feed than this, sis." Sharon also once wore an outfit with a swastika on it, which was criticised because of the swastika's links to being used by the Nazis. And in 2017, Sharon was removed as one of the headline acts for the Foo Fest, which is a music/cultural festival. The organisers released a statement saying, quote, "Numerous local performers booked as part of the musical lineup have expressed reservations to us about performing on a bill with Sharon Needles. Therefore, we feel it would be irresponsible on our part to proceed as planned with the headlining act." Allegations of abuse. Sharon has also been accused of abuse and manipulation of a Drag Race fan who was 15 years old at the time. There is a very lengthy article on the Daily Beast which details the entire story, but I'm going to summarise the main points. So the fan in question is referred to by the name Anna C, and they use they/them pronouns. Throughout the article, Anna C refers to Sharon using he/him pronouns, as they are referring to Aaron Cody, which is Sharon's name out of drag. Anna C said that they were a big fan of Sharon's, and Anna C admits that they have suffered with mental health issues and depression throughout their life. Anna C said that one night in 2013, when they had taken a bunch of pills in an apparent suicide attempt, they reached out to Sharon online and told Sharon what they had done. According to Anna C, Sharon, quote, started talking to me about how he thinks suicide is beautiful and that I should keep eating pills, and kept calling me an idiot and a moron. Anna C went on to say that they had won a ticket to a Drag Race themed cruise via a competition in November of 2013, and Sharon Needles was on the cruise. Anna C alleges that Sharon continued the abuse and gave them, quote, shotguns of weed, and encouraged Anna C to drink alcohol even though they were only 15 years old at the time. And Anna C also said that Sharon physically assaulted them. Anna C said that Sharon, quote, sat on my neck and choked me. Anna C also alleged that Drag Race contestant Alaska, who was previously in a relationship with Sharon, exposed their penis to Anna C without consent. Anna C also said that they FaceTimed with Sharon frequently for over 2 years after, and described their relationship as an unhealthy power dynamic that bordered on life-threatening. Anna C said, quote, anytime I would be sad or whatever, Cody, which is Sharon's name out of drag, just would tell me to cut deeper. I was still cutting, and I was still taking more pills with him in mind. The Daily Beast article also includes a video that Sharon allegedly sent to Anna C, and in the video, Sharon can be heard saying, quote, Anna C, keep eating more pills, they're not working, you've got to eat more of them. Once the allegations were made public, Sharon got legal representation and has denied the charges. Anna C also said that several other Drag Race stars witnessed Sharon's behaviour on the cruise, and apparently Judge Michelle Visage was made aware of what happened and complained to the production company that makes Drag Race. And Sharon apparently received a verbal reprimand, but no further action was taken. There are a lot more details to the story, but these are just the main points. And it should be noted that this is all alleged, and Sharon has not been convicted of anything and has denied the allegations. The fallout of Aquaria and Sharon. I have mentioned this in a previous video, but season 10 winner Aquaria used to describe Sharon as being her drag mother / her mentor. The two of them were very close, and for a long time they were referred to as the first winners of Drag Race who come from the same drag family. In 2017, Aquaria said of Sharon, quote, we truly are a ridiculous pairing, and I could not ask for a wiser, funnier, and all-around amazing drag inspiration and mother. However, since the allegations came out about Sharon, Aquaria has distanced herself from Sharon. People online also suggested that Aquaria may herself have been a victim of Sharon, but Aquaria denied this over a series of tweets. Aquaria said, quote, I am begging y'all, please stop harassing me about Sharon Needles. I have never sent that man explicit photos of myself ever, and would have never had a reason or desire to do so. I was not a victim, but I'm now a victim of being incessantly bothered and interrogated about him. Aquaria also said, quote, I feel awful for anyone he has hurt. I have also said this a million times already, but I do not support that man and seriously do not wish to continue speaking on my experiences beyond being supportive towards the victim. If I had a problem, you'll know I wouldn't be shy to say so. So there you go, there was an overview of the controversies surrounding Sharon Needles. As I mentioned before, a lot of these allegations have not been proven, and I am simply stating what has been reported by other sources. Please do not send Sharon or anyone else abusive messages, because it's up to the authorities to deal with any illegal activity that Sharon may or may not have committed. Hello everyone, and welcome back for some more Drag Race gossip, secrets and drama. In today's video, we're going to be looking at what happened to former drag performer Vivienne Pinay, who appeared on season 5 of RuPaul's Drag Race. In this video, we'll be discussing Vivienne's time on Drag Race, working for Alyssa Edwards, her wig business scandal, as well as what Vivienne is doing now. All that and more coming up in today's video, so let's get started. Who is Vivienne Pinay? Vivienne Pinay, whose name out of drag is Michael Donahue, competed on season 5 of RuPaul's Drag Race in 2013, where she placed 10th/11th. Vivienne no longer does drag and seemed to quit drag sometime in 2017. Vivienne is originally from nearby Atlanta, Georgia, and is of Filipino descent. And in fact, her surname, Pinay, means girl from the Philippines in Tagalog, which is a Filipino language. And Vivienne decided to use this as her surname in drag to pay tribute to her Filipino heritage. On the show, Vivienne described herself as the, quote, fishiest queen, meaning that she looked the most like a cisgendered woman. And in fact, Vivienne was once described as Catch of the Day Vivienne Pinay. And this was later changed and made into a joke by fellow season 5 contestant Alaska when she said, Soup of the Day, Vivienne Pinay.
Bland. Soup of the Day, Vivienne Pinay.
Just to note though that the term fishy is considered offensive and has fallen out of favour in recent years, and this issue was brought up by Victoria Scone during Canada vs. the World. Anyway, Vivienne always presented herself as very feminine and was often praised by the judges on Drag Race for her beauty and aesthetic. Vivienne's time on Drag Race was pretty short and relatively uneventful, having been safe twice, low, and then ultimately eliminated in episode 4, along with Honey Mahogany, in the first ever double elimination on the show. And I think because the cast of season 5 was full of such big personalities, Vivienne kind of got lost a bit in the season because she tended to be quite quiet and a bit more introverted than the others. Career after Drag Race. At the finale for season 5, during Vivienne's interview, RuPaul said that she had heard a rumour that Vivienne was working for Alyssa Edwards. And Vivienne explained that she had been doing some makeup tutorials online for Alyssa. However, in November of 2013, which was several months after season 5 ended, Vivienne appeared to be working as Alyssa's assistant and makeup artist during Alyssa's web series for World of Wonder called Alyssa's Secret. In the series, Vivienne appears several times out of drag doing Alyssa's makeup, and she also appears on camera in drag a few times, including when she did an impersonation of Alyssa in a special Halloween episode.
Boo! As in bippity boppity boo.
Y'all can't take me.
Vivi!
Vivienne also appeared in an episode of RuPaul Drives, which was a series on YouTube that came out in November 2013 and featured RuPaul driving around with members of the season 5 cast talking about their life and career after Drag Race. In the episode, Vivienne admitted that at the time of filming season 5, she had only been doing drag for around a year, but she decided not to tell anyone in case the other queens or the judges thought that she was too inexperienced. Vivienne also said that she was very shy on the show because she had not been doing drag for very long and wished that she could have showcased more of her personality. Vivienne also added that she and Alyssa had become close while filming Drag Race. And later in 2014, Vivienne appeared on the World of Wonder web series Couples for Cash with her fiancé, now husband, named Devon, where they had to answer questions about each other and they got money for every answer they got right. And these appearances were generally well received by the audience, and many people in the comments said that they were happy that Vivienne was getting to show more of her personality. After that, Vivienne had a few other notable appearances on other TV shows. For example, in 2015, she appeared as a guest on season 2 of the show Skin Wars, which is a reality TV competition show about body painting, and RuPaul was one of the judges. In the episode, Vivienne received a makeover from a contestant named Cheryl Ann, and Vivienne did not seem very happy with the paint job that Cheryl Ann had done. And this led to an iconic moment where Vivienne threw Cheryl Ann under the bus during the judges' critiques, and this moment went viral at the time.
You look more like lovely lady lumps.
Vivienne, what do you think of the outfit? I feel like I'm about to jump into a clown car. I mean, even whenever I started out drag, I didn't look like this.
Is someone paying her to throw me under the bus?
Also in 2015, Vivienne and her husband, Devon, appeared as makeover guests on season 9 of the show Face Off, which is a reality TV competition about prosthetic makeup artists who do makeup in the style of science fiction, fantasy, and horror genres. But Vivienne doesn't seem to have made any other TV appearances since around that time. The wig business scandal. Perhaps the most well-known thing that has happened to Vivienne Pinay since Drag Race was the scandal and controversy involving Vivienne's wig business in 2016/2017. Vivienne's wig business is called Fairy Tale Wigs, and according to Vivienne/Michael's LinkedIn account, she founded the company in February of 2014 and still runs it to this day. Fairy Tale Wigs is an online wig shop that sells wigs for cosplay and princess party entertainers, and the wigs are mainly in the style of Disney princesses as well as other fantasy characters. The scandal involving Vivienne's wig company is quite long and complicated, so I'll try and condense it down to just the main points. And I'd also like to credit the Reddit user Oblivion Kiss and the Imgur user Iridescent Rose because I used the information that they compiled in their posts in order to create the information for this video. I'll link to their posts in the description. So just to give a bit of background, princess party entertainers and cosplayers are professional entertainers who dress up as characters, usually for events such as children's parties, with Disney princesses being one of the most popular styles. There aren't many companies that offer Disney princess style wigs, so Vivienne's company, Fairy Tale Wigs, was one of the most popular wig providers within this specialised community. And these wigs are usually quite expensive and can cost anywhere between $50 to $800. And for years, Vivienne's company had developed a good reputation within the community for providing high quality wigs and accessories. However, this reputation started to diminish in late 2016/early 2017 when a customer posted an unboxing video of one of Vivienne's wigs in a Facebook group for princess performers, and the user complained about the bad quality of the wig that they had received from Vivienne's company. This was a new Rapunzel style wig that Vivienne's company had only recently started selling. The Facebook user said that the wig was styled badly and there was visible netting and holes in the wig, which is usually a sign of a low quality wig. And another Facebook user also posted photos of the Rapunzel wig that they had received on the same day, citing the same bad quality. However, the real issue started when the two users requested refunds from Vivienne. It's a long story, but basically the user said that Vivienne made it difficult to get a refund and was rude to them in her replies to their messages, and then Vivienne also apparently banned them from ever ordering from Fairy Tale Wigs ever again. Vivienne also said that the users had to send back the wigs, plus a crown that came with the wig as a free gift. But apparently it's illegal to request for a customer to return a free gift even if the item is being returned. And this led to people in the Facebook group accusing Vivienne of having shady business practices. After this, multiple users in the Facebook group said that they had received emails from Vivienne's company saying that their orders had suddenly been cancelled for no reason. And the users theorised that anyone who was a member of the Facebook group was having their orders deliberately cancelled by Vivienne because of the criticism she was getting about the bad quality wigs. Vivienne then claimed that multiple fake accounts had started purchasing products from her company in order to leave a bad review, which is why Vivienne was cancelling multiple orders without reason. And users also claimed that they were still waiting for a refund from Vivienne for hundreds of dollars. The Facebook community then started to turn on Vivienne, and some people claimed that Vivienne had previously worked for Disney as a wig stylist, but she had apparently, quote, screwed people over and then left Disney to create her own wig company. and people also claimed that Vivienne was buying cheap wigs from a Chinese supplier and not styling them herself. Other users who work as professional princess performers were also angry at Vivienne for apparently cancelling orders close to Christmas, saying that they had to cancel their gigs because they didn't have a wig to wear. And the Facebook community eventually decided to boycott Vivienne's business for the foreseeable future. However, the boycott seemingly only lasted a few months. During this time, some of the Facebook users who were involved in the original Rapunzel wig scandal said that their own businesses had received negative Google reviews out of nowhere, and the IP addresses used for the negative reviews came from nearby where Vivienne lives. And although it couldn't be proven that Vivienne had been leaving these negative reviews, it just added to people's resentments against Vivienne. And Vivienne even stopped offering custom wigs on her website and now only offers them on request. A few years later in 2020, because Vivienne's business had developed a slightly negative reputation within the community, many other people started creating and selling their own princess wigs and accessories. However, problems started arising when several people received copyright notices from Vivienne's company on Etsy saying that they had copied Vivienne's design for several items, including princess crowns. The users were angry because they pointed out that the copyright ultimately belongs to Disney, not Vivienne, and they also said that their designs were different to Vivienne's anyway. And the users also said that Vivienne was only going after the people who had criticised her in the past as revenge. Vivienne even posted about this issue on her Instagram, saying that people were, quote, offering complete copies of our products and marketing them as their own, and she also said that, quote, sellers should never expose themselves and their customers to legal liability in order to make a quick profit. And in general, throughout this whole wig scandal, people were saying that Vivienne was being unprofessional in how she spoke to customers and was unwilling to respond to customer feedback. And there were also issues with people saying that they never received a refund from Vivienne for their wigs, which meant that they were stuck with a bad quality wig after spending hundreds of dollars. Ultimately, it's not 100% clear what exactly happened and if everything that was said is completely true or not. But what is clear is that multiple users claimed that they had issues with the quality of Vivienne's wigs, and the community seemingly turned against Vivienne's company, which has now developed a slightly negative reputation. And when you search for Vivienne Pinay on Google, one of the first things that comes up is the wig scandal, and it's now become a bit of a joke within the Drag Race community. What is Vivienne Pinay doing now? As I mentioned earlier, Vivienne appeared to quit drag sometime in 2017, however I couldn't find any information with an official reason as to why she decided to quit drag. Vivienne's social media platforms have been mostly inactive for several years now, and her last Instagram post was in March of 2016. And the only social media platform that she has used recently is Twitter. Although she hasn't posted anything on Twitter since early 2021, she did comment on a video of when Bob the drag queen said her name by accident during the pit stop for All Stars 7 in June of 2022.
Vivienne Pinay won last week's lip sync. Vivienne Pinay! Vivienne Pinay!
However, Fairy Tale Wigs looks like it's still actively in business, and their Instagram account has been posting regularly. So it looks like Vivienne is still running her wig business despite the negativity it received a few years ago. Other than that, I couldn't really find much other information about Vivienne, so we'll have to wait and see if she ever decides to stage a comeback. So there you go, there was a quick update on what's happened to Vivienne Pinay. Did you know about any of this drama involving Vivienne before? And would you like to see Vivienne come back to Drag Race in the future? Let me know in the comments. Please remember that this video is for entertainment purposes only, and I can't guarantee the accuracy of all the information used. I'm simply reporting on publicly available information. Also, please do not send hate or leave nasty comments about Vivienne or any other queens. Let's keep it all nice and friendly, please. And if you'd like to get early access to my videos as well as have your comments featured in my Have Your Say videos, please check out my Patreon and consider supporting me. It goes such a long way to helping support my channel, and I really, really appreciate it. And I'll put a link to my Patreon in the description. I'd also like to say a massive thank you to all of my Patreon members who are amazing and support me every month. Thank you so much for being part of my Patreon. I really, really appreciate it, and I really do love my Patreon community. You are all legends. If you liked this video, please remember to like and comment on the video to help tell the algorithm that this is a great video. And make sure you hit the subscribe button because it really does make such a big difference to my channel. Thank you for watching, and I hope you'll join me again in future videos. Thank you, bye!